up to speak our own trustee, Elnora Gavin.
Woo!
Happy Monday. A Dream Deferred is a poem written by Langston Hughes. I learned about the Raisin in the Sun play at our high school's Performing Arts Center. The auditorium was filled to capacity. I knew that I wanted to be a tiger. In my family, it was understood that every Gavin would graduate from Benton Harbor High School. Little did I know that shortly after I graduated in 1994, that publicly owned schools across the state of Michigan would be under attack. That in 1997, Governor Engler, now the father of the for-profit school movement, would name Benton Harbor area schools and Detroit public schools to be shut down. That hundreds of neighborhood schools would be disseminated, leaving hundreds of thousands of dreams deferred in communities that serve children who looked like me. As voters, we must be careful about putting foxes in our hen houses. What I mean is that when elected officials are given power over our children, we must ensure that leaders have that child's best interests in heart. As wise voters, we must ensure that the decisions made at those big, powerful tables are ideas that will preserve the dreams of our children, not defer them for personal gain. An African proverb tells us that a child that is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. When Governor Whitmer signs the legislation to remove the $114 million debt from the backs of our children, publicly owned schools in cities like Benton Harbor will be placed back in the running to begin restoring the communities from the aftermath of the Black school code policies that were designed to strip voters of their power and dismantle their public education system into for-profit systems. Michelle Obama said that education is the single most important civil rights issue that we face today. But do leaders understand that it is not enough to have an education option, but that we must also have effectively well-funded, publicly owned neighborhood schools? That the joys of waving to our neighbors and walking our sons to their bus stops is just as important as watching them walk across the stage to accept their diplomas. Educators have the power to cultivate the dreams of our youth or crush them. When we invest in education, we are investing in the next inventor, the next healer of men, the next creator of the world's solutions. And when we disinvest in public schools, we leave a gaping hole in our communities, expecting law enforcement to respond to situations that never would have warranted their presence had we provided the experiences to equip our children to solve problems in their own neighborhoods. Public schools across this nation would be at the top of their games if we agreed early on to unite around protecting them, building them up and preserving their greatness, regardless of the race of the youth that we serve. When we recognize that fully funding neighborhood schools is an investment and not a cost, everybody wins. When we stop competing to be the first at the top and begin the work of collaborating to help each other reach our highest heights together, the concept of bottom 5% failing schools will be taken out with the trash, and the concept of winning together will restore our communities. Imagine teaching children from across Michigan's bridges to inspire the best in each other, rather than teaching children from across Michigan bridges, terrifying them into exposing the worst in one another, just to keep from being labeled as failures by their government officials, by their teachers and their peers. What would be possible if we dared to assess the damage done to our educational institutions, fully funded schools, and gave all children a real shot at life? In 2019, Attorney K. Morris Gavin, my father, a retired school district attorney, sat me down and told me that if I was really serious about saving our schools, I would get the debt forgiven. I wasn't thinking about the debt, didn't cross my mind. He told me that school districts cannot move forward with debt hanging over their heads, that debt has been used as an excuse to shut down our neighborhood schools. He explained that no matter how much of a proud tiger I thought I was, if we cannot seal the debt trap, we will continue to lose our neighborhood schools. From there, I did the research and created a petition that urged our state government to forgive the state debt so that our staff and students can learn and teach in peace. With trusted community leaders, I worked closely with Marilyn Ross Golden, a star history teacher at Benton Harbor High School, and she assembled a team of courageous staff and students who stepped up as Peace for Life youth representatives. In addition to preparing for their own final exams and workloads, together we devised a strategic plan to help keep their publicly owned neighborhood schools open for good. Carlos Scooby Johnson, known as Mr. Basketball, got us a conference room at the Boys and Girls Club. And in that room, I revealed the history of the Black school codes, the damaging policies that led to the dismantling of not only Benton Harbor's publicly owned schools, but schools across the state of Michigan who had suffered strategic disinvestment, were grossly underfunded and fell under attack of heartless emergency manager city policies that not only led to the Flint water crisis, but school laws that led to a debilitating public school crisis, leaving neighborhoods like ours fighting to hold on to our legacies, our institutions, and the lives of our children, while their human rights to a solid public education became debatable. The students learned that these policies forced school districts to lay off their teachers en masse, underpay them, and cut the best programs that kept students in school. After asking many questions and sharing their own frustrations with me, the students sat in that conference room working on their speeches that they would deliver to the school board, asking local leaders to pass a resolution, not only requesting a fresh start to erase the debt, and asking them to provide restitutions to restore their schools. They asked school officials to be transparent about their spending moving forward. The students delivered their speeches, some by memory and some read them. Then a senior named Quincy, he shared his story of living through school shutdown threats every year since the age of 9, hoping that adults in high places would value his education enough to protect it. And on my birthday, May 9, 2019, the school board passed the Fresh Start resolution. Students and staff wrote and produced a beautiful music video telling the world that their education matters. The petition grew from local to national, from a few hundred supporters to nearly 13,000 signatures today. They gave speeches at Andrews that year, and I asking him to encourage the Democratic Party to create their own resolution in support of the Fresh Start resolution. Not only did Representative Andrews keep his word then, he continued to make Fresh Start a priority when he took office this year. I met community leaders like Gwen Johnson, who traveled to Lansing and facilitated meetings with Representative Regina Weiss, staff from Senator Sarah Anthony's office and Rep. Whitworth's office, along with Mama Emma Kennard and Sherry Shalagi, who presented the case for debt relief. 7 Hero Green, my 10-year-old son, gave 8 speeches within a 1-month period and traveled to Lansing 3 times, speaking up for his teachers and his classmates. On behalf of the Michigan Education Justice Coalition and We the People Michigan, 7 asked state lawmakers to get debt relief done before they take recess, and both the Michigan Congress and State Senate passed the bill. 7 sat in the gallery of Congress when Representative Andrews delivered his speech and the vote passed. My son was able to see his government listen to our people of Benton Harbor, Muskegon Heights, Ypsilanti, Pontiac, and cities like ours. And he witnessed them choose education on his behalf. When 7 takes his driver's education class, when 7 joins the band, when 7 takes his first computer coding class, 7 will know that leaders chose to invest in his schools rather than turn his schools into prison pipelines. As leaders, we have the power to sit at these tables and pass laws with a child in mind. Diaria, who watched her mother with tears in her eyes, speak in Lansing about the devastation that systemic disinvestment brought to her family. She watched her mother, Angela Doyle, fight through her tears and fear as she shared her burning desire to offer all children, our children, positive distractions from the lure of the streets. Diaria served as our photographer in Lansing. The historical photos Diaria took that day are priceless to our history. Now Diaria may be able to have a state-of-the-art photography class in her high school that helps to hone her craft and the talents of her peers. We cannot undo the past. But with policies like school debt relief, we can stop deferring the dreams of our children now by investing in them. Together, we can change the trajectory of our schools. Yes, there will be people who are angry that Congress chose to invest in that little black boy or that little black girl. There will be people who feel that our students are not worthy, that teachers in our schools don't deserve a dime. But it is up to us to know better. It's up to us to say yes when we are presented with an opportunity to invest in our publicly owned schools, to invest in the next inventor, the next teacher, the next community member who will stand up for your rights when we are too old and too tired. Our children are not only our future, but they are our right now. This is a historical moment. $114 million that will be reinvested back into our children's minds, back into our economy, back into our neighborhoods. No one person can say, I did this. This is a we thing. This is what unity looks like when we unite around uplifting publicly owned schools. Equally as important as this Fresh Start win is knowing how we got here and knowing that this would not happen without our community members across the state who decided that their children mattered. I'm asking that when Governor Whitmer signs this debt relief package, that we not only send a thank you note to her, to our lawmakers, but that we also take the time to reflect on the heroes in our communities who stood up for us. Acknowledge yourselves. Tell the story of your contribution to this great victory. Did you sign and share a petition? Did you pray for us? Did you write a letter or speak out? Don't let elected officials take full credit on this group project. Add your name to the thank you card, your story to the thank you card, your child's story to the thank you card, and know that none of this happens without us. You may have been uncertain. You may have rested and felt like giving up a hug. If it wasn't for the Angela Wilson Turnbulls in my life, who refused to let me quit, who challenged me to push through my fears, move strategically and not reactively, find my voice and show up for children, I wouldn't be here. Who is your Angela? Who reminded you to be there for your people? When we were you and Angela to your community throughout this Fresh Start journey, when were you an Angela? If at times you respond to your ability to hold on to our educational system, you are the unsung heroes. If you would be willing to join us in continuing to restore our neighborhood schools in any way, or willing to share your story, please reach out to us at yesfreshstart.org so that we can continue the vision of restoring healthy, healing neighborhood community schools. And I present to you Rep. Joey Andrews. Thank you.
I just want to say that while everybody up here contributed in some way to us getting to this moment and fought for the school debt relief. That I don't think any of us would disagree that without Elnora Gavin's voice on this over the last 4 years, I don't know that this would have been elevated to the level that it needed to be, and that this would have been such a singular focus for the community. And I just want to thank you for always keeping this front and center and always being there to keep me honest and make sure that I'm living up to the promises that I made. So thank you so much. I do want to, would be happy to take some now.
Yeah, Representative Andrews. So there's going to be extra funding now for Benton Harbor area schools. Where are those dollars going to go?
Well, a lot of that is going to be up to Dr. Butts and the school board here to determine. But we did, make a huge investment in public education this year in the budget. And what we did is, rather than what previous legislatures have done, where they've essentially robbed the school aid budget in order to fund other parts of the budget, we just didn't rob the school aid budget. And I think that it sounds like such a simple thing, but by virtue of some tricky accounting, previous legislatures have been able to take tax dollars that have been intended for public schools and move them off into other projects, into other places in the budget. By not doing that, we were able to give schools like Benton Harbor $1.5 million extra dollars in their operating budget. We were able to provide free lunches to all children across the state, which is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood, I think, of almost 2 million students that are going to be getting fed every day that weren't before. So, I think we've made some, for us, it's give the schools the ability to succeed, fully fund public education, and let our schools provide education to the kids. I mean, there's one thing we should be doing, it's investing in kids and education. Anybody else got anything? Before I go, I just want to say one last thing. I'm a new parent this year. I have a 9.5-month-old daughter at home.
Yay.
And throughout this process, the one thing that I kept thinking about was, it's perspective you get when you suddenly become a parent, right? I live in the St. Joe School District, and so if I continue to live there, my daughter will attend St. Joe Public Schools, and I know that she will have a great education, quality education from day one. And I can't help but think, and couldn't help but think all year while reflecting on that, about the parent here in Benton Harbor or in Benton Township who has, a similarly aged child. And as of last year, did they even know if they would have a school to send their kid to? Do they know the quality of education that they're going to give? And just the stress and the burden that places on parents and families, just not knowing what the future is going to be. Hearing some of the stories of students going through the school system now, not knowing, are they going to actually graduate from Benton Harbor schools? That wasn't guaranteed a couple of years ago. And so if there's nothing else that I hope this does is provide some level of certainty for parents living in the school system that their school will be here, that investments will be made, and that they're going to have a place where their kids will get a great education and one day graduate from and have the world at their fingertips. So thank you all. I appreciate you. Gwen, you have a question.
Yeah, a question. Do you know the timeline or time frame when the governor will actually sign?
If she hasn't signed it already, and I believe the intent was to sign the supplemental before we adjourned for the year so that it would take effect this coming year. We can confirm that, but I believe that was the intent, was to have it signed so that it would take effect immediately. If that didn't happen, then it would take effect at the beginning of 2025 when all the rest of the legislation that's signed over the next year takes effect. But it's a larger budget supplemental. It contains school debt and other investments, so the intent was to get this into place as quickly as possible. No other questions? I appreciate everybody for being here today, and once again, thank you everybody here for everything that you do and have done, honestly. Thank you so much.